A bill such as this would require welfare participants to pass a drug test to receive benefits. Welfare is given to individuals who are struggling financially, typically single mothers, children, the elderly, pregnant women, and the unemployed. Drug testing would ensure that taxpayers aren't simply supplying funds for those addicted to illegal drugs. But some believe it to be ethically incorrect because of the possibility of stereotyping those with low income.
Hello. Thank you for all coming tonight. I'd like to talk to you about the history of welfare in the United States. Now, as many of you may know, we've had poor people in the United States since 1929. Prior to 1929, there were no poor people. They simply did not exist, because everyone had a chance to make as much money as they wanted by simply working hard. 1929, the stock market crashed, kicked a whole generation of people square in the crotch, which is hard and painful. An entire generation of people have been kicked there. Anyways, the idea that maybe, just maybe, the government should have something to do if the people of this country are so desperately in need kind of started to make its way up finally to the federal government. And in 1933, we began to have something called FARA, which is the Federal Emergency Recovery Administration, which actually helped people, start kind of getting on their own 2 feet. Gave them emergency money. Wasn't a whole lot, but it was the idea of trying to let them get through the 1 month, get through the week, get through the year, whatever happened to be the case. And over time, the New Deal evolved into an idea that there would be some sort of floor of sorts below for people. But it never really became a systematic thing until later in the Great Society time period. In the Great Society time period, it was pretty much recognized that there was a group of people that are in kind of a state of perpetual poverty on the bottom. And the problem was that even if you could argue that it was their fault they were on the bottom, which may very well be true, they might have drug addictions, they might have other kind of elements, they might just blow their money, they might just waste their money, they might, sorry the redundancy there, but they basically might just not be very good, or lazy, or all the above. The idea with welfare was really around the mindset that poverty tends to breed poverty, that if you're really going to break the cycle of poverty, you've got to find a way so that the children of people who are poor, by their fault or no fault of their own, don't suffer because of their parents. And so the idea wasn't just helping people who are poor, but in kind of a second step process, making sure that their children weren't so poor that they would then just continue to not be educated, continue to fall into the traps that their parents have fallen into in the first place. So welfare really has kind of been an evolutionary thing since about 1933 through the 1960s. Got really big in the 70s, and it's been curtailed ever since kind of the Reagan time period, where now we're starting to call on people to do things like training. And if you're going to get welfare, you have to get doing something. You got to work to get money and stuff like that. So it's evolved over time. That's pretty much it.
Many states have considered passing the law, but only Georgia and Florida have enacted it. There have been many groups that have formed in areas around numerous states, but not enough to have a big enough impact to pass the law. State enactment is based off of the popular vote of the people, but most of the people in the nation are unaware of this issue. Do you think that people are aware of the growing trend that is drug screening for welfare?
No, as a matter of fact, this is the first I've heard of it since you have taken on this project.
Yeah, I've heard about it, and I think it's a good idea.
I've never heard about it. I've never heard about drug testing for welfare.
No, I haven't heard about it, but I would definitely be for it.
I have heard about it, and I think in a lot of cases it can be a very helpful thing.
I've heard of it, not that much, but I think it's a very good idea, and I think if they do test positive for drugs, then they should be cut off of welfare.
I've heard of it too, and I also think it's a good idea. I think people that are receiving welfare are using taxpayers' money, and taxpayers have the right to insist that the money that they're giving them are going to healthy lifestyles and habits. And I think if they are tested and test positive for drugs, that there should be some sort of a program that they can be enrolled into to help them.
People would have to pay for the drug testing, but if they passed, the government would reimburse them, and the majority of the recipients are drug-free, thus costing the government more money than they would be saving by not giving welfare to anyone who doesn't pass a drug test. Many people believe that they have no right in searching people for drugs, that it is ethnically incorrect because it is stereotyping the lower class and associating them with drug addiction. This would be unconstitutional and morally incorrect. The stereotype for those who take government aid is already bad. The requirement for drug testing would just make it worse. And some think it'll keep those who really need the funds for their children from seeking aid. Some believe that drug testing to remove drug users can be more expensive than to just give them the welfare aid.
It's unfair to ask taxpayers to pay for those receiving welfare when they just spend it on drugs to aid their addiction. Plus, this would give the initiative to the user to get clean and find help and won't waste the tax dollars and help against the illegal use of government money. But if the person trying to receive welfare shows positive during a drug testing, then the state will provide rehabilitation until they have recovered, and then they will be able to receive the welfare. Knowing that you must produce a clean sample will motivate those who truly need and want welfare to stay drug-free.